Movie Holics! What up, guys? I'm Kyler Wilson.
I'm Monica Cassari.
And this is another episode of
The Before,
The After.
and The After.
That's right. And the after. You got a problem with it? Talk to Felicia.
Why, Felicia? She said bye like 5 minutes ago.
Whoops.
Restaurant. When we go.
Okay, so it's raining again. I think we're just in that time of the year or something. But we're gonna go see the Inner Martian. Martian Stellar. We're gonna go see the Martian. Monica's not very excited, I don't think.
No, I'm just coming off of a stupid day of work and a headache.
Fair enough.
With a hungry belly.
We're gonna go get some food. We're gonna do dinner in a movie style. Maybe we'll do a little vlog at the restaurant. Who knows? Maybe not. We'll play it by ear. That's how we always do. So the Martian looks just like it looks like it doesn't look just like Interstellar, but it looks like a follow-up to Matt Damon's character in Interstellar, where he's stranded on a distant planet with no help in sight.
The prequel of his
of that character. So it's very interesting that they would choose Matt Damon to be in this role so close after Interstellar. It's also very interesting that they chose Jessica Chastain to also be in this movie.
Maybe they thought that they were
Interstellar.
signing up for one movie, but it was actually two. Or maybe they were like, somebody slipped them both the scripts and they're like, okay, we'll just do it.
I'm so confused. And this is a Ridley Scott film. Now, I'm generally a Ridley Scott fan. I wasn't a fan of his last, I believe, no. I was okay with Gods and Kings, but his one before that was Prometheus, I believe. I was not a very big fan of Prometheus. But I hope this movie's great. I mean, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to really get past the similarities to Interstellar.
Hopefully they'll start off to where we won't be in that same mindset of Interstellar.
Maybe so. I mean, now you weren't originally thinking about going to see this, right? So, what are your thoughts going into it? Are you think you're going to be disappointed?
I'm hoping that I will rave about it more than I did Interstellar.
More than?
I'm hoping that it's going to be good.
You think it's going to be better?
I kind of hope that'll be better.
Why would you want it to be better than? I mean, I guess I want movies to be better than Interstellar too, because Interstellar was so great. If I see a movie that's better than Interstellar, then it must be amazing.
But the way that Interstellar spoke to you, I would like it to speak to me that way.
I don't feel like this is going to be that kind of movie.
And that's what I'm talking about. I don't want it to be Interstellar. I want it to be something different, and I have a hope that this will be a good movie, and I'll be like, oh, that movie actually was good.
Alright. I don't think it's going to speak, really. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it'll speak really. I'm not saying, like, speak to me, like, but I'm just hoping that, you know, I'll like this movie more than I did Interstellar, as you liked Interstellar more than any other movie ever.
Okay, fair enough.
I have high hopes. I hope, even though I didn't really look much into this.
High hopes, but low expectations.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this movie would just knock me on my ass and be like, ha, I'm good.
You know, we just did an episode of Attack of the Rotten Tomatoes, and you remember Pete Hammond, the guy, wait, which one was Pete Hammond? Dang it, Pete Hammond is one of the guys that we quoted, and he says that this is the best movie on this planet or any other. That's what he said. I guess we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see, Mr. Pete Hammond.
Oscar nodding.
think, was it Fantastic Four or was it Chappie that he was really sad about?
Can't remember.
I think it was Fantastic Four. Anyways, if you haven't checked out our episode of Attack of the Rotten Tomatoes, go check that out now. That's all I got going in. I'm fairly excited to see it. I think it's going to be a fun film at least, but I just don't know that I'm going to be able to get past the Interstellar
I'm just hoping it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm hoping. I'm just hoping it doesn't suck.
Fair enough. We'll let you know if it doesn't suck or does. See ya. Maybe at the restaurant. Mon's got chicken and waffles. Whoa. And I got steak. So I just wanted to say, somebody made a comment about the fact that I used the phone in the theater after my big long rant about not using your phone in the theater.
The Regal Crown Club
I do it with the screen brightness on negative like 0. There's no such thing as negative 0. And before the previews start. So you guys need to chill your shit.
So right now it's a Regal commercial playing.
Exactly. Do you guys care? I don't think so.
I don't remember who I am.
Looky who I ran into. Fellow movie holic Terrence Cole.
What's up, guys?
What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was really well done. I thought Matt Damon was great. I don't know if he was actually, spoiler alert, I don't know if he was actually skinny or if it was CGI, but...
I think it was a double.
Do you think it was a double?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was great. I thought he did incredible in it.
It was.
So overall, awesome movie.
Go see it.
Now.
Okay, so I'm almost got a headache, so we're gonna keep it brief. What'd you think?
Pretty good. I didn't realize it was gonna be so long.
It was only like
3 hours.
what time is it?
It's 11.
It started at 8:30. I mean, preview's 30 minutes, about a 2-hour movie. It's not that bad. I do have some minor problems that I'll address as soon as I get in the car. Overall, I thought it was really good.
It was pretty good.
It
wasn't like, I guess to me it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. It was pretty entertaining throughout.
It's easier to watch, I think, than Interstellar was. I mean, Interstellar makes you really pay attention. This one, I feel like if I wanted to get up and go use the bathroom, I could have.
Yeah.
I think Matt Damon did really good, though. He really delivered those comedic beats well. When they were there. The audience did a pretty good job at not laughing at stupid shit, though, which I was actually really impressed with. It as I said going in, feels very reminiscent of a little movie known as Interstellar. But I don't know that, they would have had to have picked just somebody else other than Jessica Chastain and Matt Damon, you know what I mean? Like, it just needed 2 different actors. It's not the same as Interstellar at all.
Right.
But
yeah.
you just can't get away from it. You pick the actors, guys.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was way better than Prometheus, which was, again, one of Ridley Scott's last films I just wasn't a huge fan of. The score was actually pretty good, even though Matt Damon's character hates disco. I bet you liked it, the score.
Yeah, I like me some disco music.
The biggest complaint that I have, personally, is the first... Well, actually, 2 things. The first half of the movie was, like, so quick. I don't mean that the first half of the movie should have been longer. It's just like they fit so much information into the first half of the film that could have been a film on its own.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think it would have been an interesting film. It almost could have been a 2-parter,
I don't know. I think that's why it felt so long to me in a sense, because like it seemed quick in the beginning, and all of a sudden it was just like, when are we gonna get there already?
Yeah, I think legitimately it would have benefited from being a 2-part movie. You think I'm crazy?
Nobody would really want to stay around and watch both parts, I think. Stay around. Well, I don't
You don't think the second movie would have been?
No, I don't feel like it's a movie that you break up into multiples.
I just feel like it.
I can see it being like a TV show.
Well, I guess my point is there was so much information that had to go into one film that it made it feel long. It definitely dragged there towards the middle. Then my one last thing that kind of perturbed me was the moment Jeff Daniels said, "Assuming nothing goes wrong," I was like, "Great!" So the next scene, something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, that did kind of suck.
And it just gave away this. I wish that beat had just happened when it happened. You know,
Right.
it was a little annoying. It's like, bro, did you really need to tell me that was coming? So. All that said, though, everybody did a great job. I can see why you'd want to see this in theaters. I enjoyed it, all in all. 22 out of 10. Is that not the right scale? What about you?
It's pretty good for what it was.
Would you
give it
recommend
like an 8 or a 9.
it? Okay, 8 or 9 is pretty good. I would definitely. I'm right along those lines with you. 8 or 9, I think is pretty fair. Would you recommend people go see it in theaters?
I mean, I guess, yeah, kinda. Yay and nay. Don't go if you have allergies and you're not feeling good, or if you're sleepy, because you might get sleepy.
Fair enough. I say you're safe. She's a little on the fence. There you go. We'll talk more about it in the next after. Stay around. Okay, so this really was a day, right? We sat on this a day. It was last night.
It was last night we watched it.
My
So,
brain.
kind of a day.
And it's sitting pretty well with me. How about you?
Yeah.
Mostly well.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. We haven't discussed this at all, so leave us alone. We're gonna jump right into the previews and go into the rest of what we're gonna talk about, which is a good deal. So hope you like it. The Forest horror movie. Yes
Netflix.
or no? Netflix. I'd say Netflix is a pretty accurate assumption. Didn't really intrigue me all that.
Although
well.
I've never heard of this forest before, I'm quite curious if it's actually real.
It says it's real. Who knows?
So that intrigues me because I've never heard of this before.
The Big Short. Financial collapse movie.
Oh, with everybody that is not who they are, but
Everybody looks so different. It's
everybody
ridiculous.
is not them. Netflix.
So I think it's probably going to be a pretty good movie. I can't justify the movie theater.
I feel like I'm going to want it to be Wolf of Wall Street. It ain't going to be Wolf of Wall Street.
It's not going to be Wolf of Wall Street. I don't think it's going to be Wolf of Wall Street. So yeah, I would wait for Netflix probably. Or DVD. I'll leave that up in the air.
You'll end up buying it. Just
Probably
'cause.
right. Crimson Peak. I'm not going to lie. At this point, I'm sick of seeing this preview.
I really want to see it. I think I'm
mean,
going to see it.
We're going to see it. I'm just really sick of this preview.
But
It's
it's
just
Guillermo del Toro.
the preview, it's like once you've seen it 1,000 times, it becomes really boring.
That's how you know you go to the movies a lot, when you see
Ugh.
the same previews over. They are pushing this movie.
So
but
frustrating. They really are pushing this movie for some reason, which makes me wonder how bad is it going to be? You know,
I think it's going to be a twist movie.
All right.
I think the script is going to be flipped, and it's not going to be what we keep seeing.
I hope you're right. That's all I got
But
to say.
as you can tell, it's been on every freaking movie I think that we've watched. So it's different genres. So they're really spreading.
Yeah. I mean, it's all-star cast, so, I mean, it's, clearly it's got to be okay at least, but it's just, I don't know. I've seen it so many times at this point. I feel like the marketing's too much.
We'll see.
Moving on. Concussion.
Netflix or Hulu, whichever gets it first.
I think we both said that the last time, too.
Yeah.
Just not feeling it. The Revenant. Okay, now this is a new trailer for The Revenant that we haven't seen before, and holy fuck.
The deal got sealed.
Dude, I was so into that trailer.
Like, I remember it was pretty captivating when we first saw it, but this time it was like...
Tom Hardy looks amazing. I mean...
I didn't realize that was him in the...
I
when
know!
we first saw it, and then it said Tom Hardy. I was like, where's Tom Hardy? And then
Dude.
I watched this again, and you almost couldn't tell it was him.
Leo DiCaprio looks great, but there's something about Tom Hardy in this
Doesn't he
one
always?
that Yes, he does. There's this great meme going around. I'm going to have to show it to you. I'll flash it up on the screen for like 5 seconds, starting right now. And it's that meme.
I knew it. It's usually that meme or it's the Inception meme.
It's so good.
But it's like, but it's like.
No, so this was actually I take it back. So it's not actually a meme. It's a like top bottom picture, and both of him. It's a picture from him from Titanic and a picture of him from The Great Gatsby. And he's holding up in both pictures. He's holding up the glass of champagne, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. You scroll down, and it's like Jack from the Titanic ended up living, finding the diamond, selling it, and becoming. It's so great. It's like mind blow.
Leonardo DiCaprio, you'll never be forgotten. Ever.
Anyways, back to Revenant though. This preview looks so fucking good.
It's definitely more intriguing. I'm really more curious as to what's going to happen. So definitely theater.
Yeah, I think 100% theater at this point. Like, even if we don't review that movie, I think we've got to see it in theaters. Last preview, and so I think this actually is the shortest preview segment that has ever existed on our show. Is Joy with Jennifer Lawrence.
Aren't you tired of seeing her already?
God, all right. So look, here's the deal. She's a talented actress, man. I get it, but fuck, do we gotta have her in everything? Do we need her in every movie? And does she need to be with Bradley Cooper in every movie? Can we just like have a quick break? I feel like she is the Marvel of dramas. Like, it's just, there's so many of them. I'm getting really beat over the head and worn out.
It's almost like the more you keep doing, it's almost like she's typecast now, kind of.
She really, I mean, now, that being said, this preview was insane. And I don't mean in a good way. I mean, I have no clue what's going on other than it takes place during Christmas, and Bradley Cooper's in it smiling creepily, and she's in it, and she's like...
It's really hard to tell what's going on, and they're probably doing that just... I don't know. I don't know what the big... I don't know. I know I have no interest. # no interest in watching it. Because I
can't
still have
imagine
yet
seeing
to
this
watch
in theaters.
any other movie with her in it besides...
whatchamacallits. The last Bradley Cooper film that she also did.
And that was by accident. American Hustle.
Yeah, American Hustle. Which was okay. I mean, like, I think it got way overhyped, but that's a whole different episode.
But yeah, no interest in it. I'm not going to see it. I don't think I'll even Netflix it or...
Perfect. I agree. Wholeheartedly. Moving on. We're getting to the movie now. All right. So, we're gonna get into... here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the acting, the special effects, the story, the length, the science, and if it was accurate, and we're going to cover the ending. And there are multiple parts to these, so stay tucked in. It's going to be a fun one, I promise. You good?
I should have worn my science glasses.
Oh. By the way, note from Mr. Dan McCoy over at Tone Mesa. He really loves it when you wear glasses.
You like my glasses because I be wearing all these glasses. Thank you, Zenny Optical. You make me cute.
This was not a paid advertisement at all. Moving on, the acting. Let's get that first. So clearly, Matt Damon's in this movie, and everybody knows that, and everybody knows Matt Damon's a great actor, and he did great. I don't really want to focus on Matt Damon being the great actor because everybody knows he did great.
We know already.
What I'm really interested in is how well everybody else did. And one person specifically that I really want to give credit to personally is Jeff Daniels. He's kind of painted as a bad guy in this movie, and it's really unfair to the character, I think, but it's one of those things that like they do in these kind of movies where he's making the right decision, but everybody's like, "Oh, you don't have balls." I don't want to agree with your decision. You know, and I think Jeff Daniels played it really well. And I think by the end of the film, like, he was one of the heroes to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he was just doing what he thought was right, even though, you know, people in situations like that aren't always going to agree because, you want to save everybody, but you can't. And
Yeah.
ultimately, you know,
You have to start weighing out, like, is it worth putting 5 other people at risk?
yeah, because he
one
almost
person.
does look like the bad guy, like he has no heart type of situation.
They paint it that way, and it's really frustrating.
It was kind of frustrating.
They do
but-
that in a lot of different movies. This isn't the only one.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot
like,
of political type movies, a lot of war type movies that happens, but
Or take, for example, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I know you hate, but the principal in that movie, it's like he's totally doing his job.
I know.
Like,
I saw a really
but he's
interesting-
painted as the bad guy the entire film. It's like this poor dude is beat the fuck the entire movie.
I heard a really interesting theory about that movie, which I'll have to find it, but yeah, it was so true. But
So-
that movie, yeah, ultimately, just trying to get your ass back in class.
Telling you, and Jeff Daniels is very much the same character, even though it's clearly it's not played to the comedic timing of Ferris Bueller's. But I mean, like, this dude's just trying to be the director of fucking NASA. You know, that's
Yeah.
all, guys. I mean, and he's just kind of painted as a dick, and you just can't help but feel sorry for somebody like that. It's like, man,
Yeah.
like, come do this job, bro.
You know, gotta hide things, gotta be sneaky about. Ooh.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah,
Let
ultimately,
me
it's
fix this real quick.
yes, please.
It won't happen again. Bing, bam, boom.
What you think of Inception?
Exactly.
No.
But yeah, go ahead.
Ultimately, yeah, I hated that they kind of painted. Yeah, but it happens a lot. It happens
does.
a lot, and it happens in real life. It happens more than we know.
And I guess that's why I wanted to mention it. Is like, this guy is like, his character, even though he's painted as a dick, is a good guy, and he's in it to win, you know. And he's played by Jeff Daniels, and Jeff Daniels did an amazing job with it. I really felt like some emotional beats there that like this strong, stoic kind of character he has to like be the face of NASA while wanting to do the right thing. And
Right.
and I'm not trying to turn this into Jeff Daniels' story here, but you know, it was just he's an unsung hero of the production, in my opinion, and I just really wanted to mention him. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I mean, or I heard somebody pronounce his name the other day, like Chiwetel
No, it's
Ejiofor or some shit.
it's the way you said it, because
Chiwetel
I
Ejiofor.
remember when he was on the MTV Movie Awards a long time ago. Chiwetel Ejiofor, and that since they pronounced his name, that's stuck
been
with
it.
me. So that's it.
So
if
there you
it's
go.
not, then
Then screw you, MTV.
your fault.
He did amazing. I mean, and you know, Jessica Chastain, Michael Pena, the other actors that I unfortunately don't know their names because they're not the
Yeah.
huge actors, but
Yeah,
they
Mackenzie
did
Davis
great.
is on that one show.
Um,
Donald Glover is
Obviously, Kate Mara.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sebastian Stan.
I gotta point out one negative here for the acting. Whoops, sorry guys.
Ooh, child.
Donald Glover was a complete and total distraction for me. His entire character, and he hasn't always been that way. I kind of leaned over to Mon and said something like that, and she's like, he kind of always is like that, but he hasn't always felt like that to me. And this just, I don't know. I guess I don't buy him as being like this.
I think it probably went a little
educated.
overboard.
Yeah, that's
Went
the
a
thing. Is
overboard.
it was just so like
You know, us, you know, playing video games and interacting with people, you know, online. We know that there are people like that
Yeah.
are smart and just really just
yeah, super ADD.
But I feel like it was just completely overdone.
Yeah,
in a sense.
It totally took me out of that segment. Once
yeah,
he
I
was
felt like
done,
it wasn't-
I was
it didn't
fine
fit
again.
correctly.
But yeah, I don't know. I know that he's like been getting more and more roles and whatnot, and I think he's a decent actor. It was just this was too much. And his segments were specifically distracting. So that's the one negative I got to say to the acting. But otherwise, even Kate Mara, who kind of generally annoys me. I mean, I'm sorry, girl, but you know, she was okay. She was fine. Like she felt real to me. It kind of looked like maybe Fantastic Four got 90% of their hair fuck ups because of this movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, anyways, yeah, I think the acting was great for the most part. And clearly, again,
emotions were there. I mean, everybody played the emotions right. I feel like nothing was too over dramatic, but I feel like they all portrayed if we were in that position.
Yeah.
And same for the people on the outside looking in. You know, I feel like they had the same emotions that other people that we would have if we were in that situation of being the onlooker.
Yeah.
And being like, because you're not going to just break out crying and you're not going to be like, ah, but you're going to be kind of in that state of awe, which I think everybody did really well. I feel like they probably all really took it.
Yeah.
They really played it seriously and nothing too over. But the Donald Glover part was probably the most overdone part for no reason.
Another thing I do want to mention about, I was gonna just kind of gloss over Matt Damon, but I guess one thing I really do want to make sure everybody knows is he played this super optimistic guy that was on the brink of crumbling virtually anytime you saw him, and I really did feel that at points where I was like, he's about to break down, like. But he stayed so positive, and clearly it's written that way. But like, I could feel, especially like there towards the end. It's not a spoiler, where he kind of like starts to break down to cry, but then he kind of mans back up, and I did feel that.
I feel like that was a kind of a subtle PSA as to how we should probably view things in our life nowadays. Things are hard, yes. People go through issues, yes. But why is it so easy for people to break down and crumble and hurt themselves instead of solving the problem, fixing it, trying to figure out how to get around it and make yourself stronger? And I feel like that's mostly, to me, what this movie is about, is staying strong through whatever situation.
Overcoming adversity.
It's problem solving. Life is problem solving, ultimately. You don't like something, how are you gonna fix it? You're in a hurt. You're in a crazy. You're being hurt or kidnapped or something. In something, and I know that's pretty off there, but ultimately you have to think in your head, how are you gonna fix it? How can you get out of this? How can you grow? And even though that fear is in the back of your head that you could die, no matter what situation, doesn't it just feel better to fight? Because your percentage, I feel like, would be higher.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what this movie said to me. Ultimately, keep fighting no matter what.
Boom. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And he did a good job of portraying that.
He did a really good job. So,
because I feel like when something happened, I'd be like, mother. And I feel like he acted in this movie a lot how I would act myself, because I'd be like, this shit. Really? You stub your toe. Punch the bed. Drop your keys in the toilet. Mother. And I feel like his reactions to things getting jacked up were the reactions I would probably have. Which is, what this movie meant to me, I think.
You did great. There's no doubt about it. Let's move on to the special effects. Or as I should say, the lack thereof.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this movie takes place almost entirely on a foreign planet. I'm assuming, that they shot a lot in the desert that is on our own planet. But for the most part, by and large, really only like the space shots really stood out as being something that was not real. Everything that I saw on the planet looked very, very good to me.
Everything looked
even the
realistic.
Space stuff, it wasn't like distracting. It was still good. And it just, like, I guess I want to mention special effects as frequently as I can, especially in big budget movies, because when they're done appropriately, it makes such a difference to the film. And coming off of like some of the biggest CG movies of cinematic history, with things like Jurassic World and Avengers and I don't know, we'll go all the way back to stuff like the newest RoboCop and really any of the Marvel movies. They're so CG heavy, and it really takes you out of it, and
it's so CG heavy that you can't miss it. You can't get lost in the story or the situation.
Exactly.
Because of the
Exactly.
CG.
And this, I could allow myself to get lost
like
in the
I felt
environments,
like it was
you know?
legit. I feel like we knew about Mars and that we already go back and forth. Well,
Straight up.
we do, but I feel like we already were living on Mars, kinda. And I'm like, oh, this is our planet.
No, straight up. It felt like something that
Like
was
nothing
real.
was so off to me, and science-wise, whatever. I don't know much about Mars and its being, but I know that I felt like it was an actual thing that we were encountering, and nothing stood out to me that was like, huh.
Right.
Like, that's... No, it felt legit all the way through.
Absolutely agreed. And, I mean, there's nothing really else to say about it. It's just, again, something that, like, as a viewer and a filmmaker, it's something I feel that...
Yeah, because it shows that sci-fi movies can be...
like
CG nice.
Yeah.
And not overly done to where
not like
it's
John Carter, you know?
I still haven't seen... Have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen the movie. I've just seen the previews. Like, the previews were enough to
I
just
heard
make
it was
me, like...
actually pretty good, though.
Maybe
I'm
it
going to
was.
have to take a day. But anyways...
But
ultimately.
so case in point, everybody harps on the newest 3 Star Wars, Episode 1, 2, and 3, for being so CG heavy, right? But then they'll give movies like Jurassic World a pass, and it just blows my mind. I'm like, well, I mean, there's no difference. Like,
Do you think the story makes up for the CG?
well, I enjoy the story of the first 3 Star Wars far more than
Because
I
I
do
feel like
Jurassic
that's
World,
what could
but-
happen. Like, I mean, I guess in this movie as well, I feel like the story set your mind outside of the CG.
I was paying attention to the CG. The CG wasn't distracting
Really?
at all.
No, it
Like,
wasn't.
I couldn't find anything. Like I said, the closest I got to being distracted was like wide shots of like the space station in space, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty
like,
interesting.
And there were just a couple shots where I was like, it's probably composited, but it was in and out of my mind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it did a great job. I think we can move on. Good?
Moving on, dog.
Moving on. So next is the story. It's really... I don't guess I really want to dissect it so much. It's just really kind of explain... Basically, the story is a guy gets lost on Mars. I mean, it's not lost, but
Kind of
he's
left on Mars by accident.
they think he's dead, and he gets stuck there. And so he has to spend the rest of the movie trying to figure out a way to not escape, really, but to survive until the next manned mission comes to Mars. And that's the basic gist of the movie. And the way they set the story up, so this will kind of just roll into the length, I think. The way they set the story up, the first half of the film is very, very quick to me. Now, in the after segment, the after the before segment, it felt, or what I said was that this movie could have been 2 movies. And I'd just like to clarify, I don't mean that it necessarily should have been 2 films, but I'm saying there was so much content that it felt like the movie or the story would have been benefited by having a second movie. I felt like they had to, in order to make the novel adaptation work, they had to rush a lot of stuff in the beginning. Now, anybody who's read the book, feel free to crush what I'm saying, because maybe this is exactly the way the book was written. But it felt like the first half of the movie went by so quick for me. And then we got that second half. And it was specifically right after the giveaway happened that everybody will see from a mile away, where Jeff Daniels says, assuming nothing bad happens. And literally smash to the very next scene where something bad happens and everything gets kind of screwed up. That second portion of the film slowed way the fuck down. There was around a 20-minute segment where we didn't even see Mars. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We were on Earth the whole time. It was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's a long time, considering our hero, the main character of the film, is on Mars, you know? All that said, I know that you don't think it should have been 2 films, but, like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You even said it was a long movie.
And to me, yeah, I felt like it was long. I guess because I just wanted to know what was going to happen. But then again, I also wasn't feeling too well, so I could have been... seeing it longer than it actually was. But no, I felt like it was longer than it should have been. Like, and it makes you think, what could they have cut out to make it shorter?
Well, so again, like let's go back just real quick and humor me. Let's say it were 2 films, and think about the first film being up to the point where the bad thing happens, where the airlock blows, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the first film. Now we all know there's a second film, so he lived, you know. It's not like it's supposed to be a cliffhanger. But then imagine the stuff that happened in the first half of that movie being told over the course of an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours versus like it was cut so quickly. I felt like we were jumping spans of time. Every time we looked at the screen, it went from Soul 19 to Soul. It initially started slow. Soul 19 to Soul 21 to Soul 45 to Soul 62 to Soul, and I'm making up numbers, but they were spanning such drastic portions of time. You know, like for example, we went from no potatoes to grown potatoes super quick. You know, clearly we know that it doesn't, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. So there was a long portion of time that went on there. And I think there's a lot of really good meat that the book probably had.
Yeah, a lot of people, from what I saw, everybody thinks or says that it's like their favorite book, and
I heard really great things about it.
I don't know. For me, I couldn't see this being broke up apart because I don't think it would have enough pull for me to come back to finish it.
But I mean, fair enough. And
that's mine because I'm not big on sci-fi movies.
You may be really accurate just in general. Like with you, like people may agree completely, but that doesn't stop the fact that I think just from a storytelling standpoint, it would have benefited from being both longer and or 2 parts.
Yeah.
So. It was a little long. I mean, it wasn't so long that I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I want to know what happens. Ugh.
Yeah, and I really think the biggest problem was that like I said, 20-minute segment where it felt like everything
it's like stop.
was on Earth.
We're like, what's going on?
No longer was anything on Mars there for like 20 minutes, and it was just that part really kind of dragged. Now think about the movie being. Like, if that segment had been shortened to, like, 5 minutes, and then we got back to Mars,
right?
You know. Anyways, so, yeah, that's what I have to say about the story and the length.
Word.
You good?
Yep.
Cool. So we're going to talk about the science now. Now, I pulled an article off of IFL Science, I fucking love science, .com, and
Ooh, child.
And so we're gonna read through what they said is real and what is fake. It's really fun stuff to me. And then we want to just briefly say, was it a distraction or was it not?
Because I think another most intriguing thing about this movie is that it was science, and
it was very
science is super cool. And I saw some yucky reviews, and the yucky reviews mostly were saying it's too much science. Then what are we doing here? If this is too much science, really? Like, how does that take away? If anything, that's what drove me to this.
Yeah,
is because science.
Yeah.
Like, even though I don't know much about it, it's cool to see it created.
Yeah, and I mean, this was not over anybody's head. I'm sorry, but I mean,
no,
sure.
Not.
Is there at least a sentence that is over somebody's head? Yes, but they do a very good job throughout the entirety of the film explaining exactly what the hell's going on.
Basically, those critics that said it was over their head, you need to go watch a Marvel movie.
Sorry about your sad times.
Really silly. So
yeah,
let's do this.
Let's jump into it. So the first thing, according to IFLScience.com. The dust storm is impossible because the air is so thin that 100 mile per hour winds on the surface of Mars only feels like 11 mile per hour winds on Earth. So the dust storm never would have happened the way that they showed it in the film in the first place. They're saying it's absolutely impossible for it to get as violent as it showed. So
maybe it's like their hurricane season or something.
Well, they kind of addressed that. Like, this is just a one sentence blurb. They're like, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened like that, at least.
Debunked.
So, so myth busted.
Ooh.
Anyways, next one.
Okay, so the amount of time it would take to travel from Earth to Mars is indeed about 8 months.
So they basically said, like, yeah, this is the one thing. This is, or not the one thing, but this is one of the things that they got really, really accurate was the amount of time, and that whole segment with Donald Glover.
Yeah.
That whole segment was one of the more realistic things in the entire film because it is a real maneuver. It really would take that long. It really probably would be the best way to do it.
That's so crazy. It takes that long.
Yeah, it takes that long. Like and like so I've played this game called Kerbal Space Station. And they go into science kind of like this. Of course, it's all like over my head. I just know how to make lines match up. So yeah, there's like certain times of the year where it's best to launch and that kind of stuff. I'm sure a lot of you already know that, but yeah, total real stuff. Okay, moving on. It would, believe it or not, it would be possible to grow plants in the manner they show in the movie. Basically, he goes and he gets human excrement, he mashes it up, adds water, makes fertilizer, puts it in the soil, puts the plant on top of it, and grows. And it theoretically, I mean, clearly they haven't actually done this, but theoretically it would be possible to do that if you had a controlled environment like he created. So
potatoes.
Let's have some poop potatoes.
I wonder if they tasted different. Like, I wonder if they would taste.
Who knows?
Scientists, tell me if it tastes any different. If you've tried this.
Moving on.
All right, so they do not currently have a method of leaving Mars effectively.
In other words, the whole slingshot method and everything, like, you know, maybe it could have happened. But as it stands right now, that is considered science fiction. They have no real good way to get back off of Mars to come back home to Earth. Now in the movie they show it, you know, him going up there and getting caught, blah 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 blah. But it's not possible that they know of yet.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe one day.
One day.
I think you skipped one here. It says, it is likely that spending so much time on Mars would result in radiation sickness, aka he'd be dead, probably.
What?
So they say because Mars has no atmosphere, or has very little atmosphere, I should say. There's nothing protecting people on the surface from solar radiation. So if any manned missions happen to Mars, they said they would likely create bunkers underneath the dirt in order to kind of have like a natural protection from the radiation.
Be ground people.
So unfortunately, Matt Damon would probably die. Just because of that. Moving on.
All right. What is that?
The tornadoes.
The tornado. The tornadoes shown in the movie are actually real.
So there are lots of different scenes where like he's driving through and you see these like they kind of look like dirt devils.
Yeah, they do.
Or dust
like
devils.
Arizona, they're little dusty buddies.
But they're tornadoes and they totally exist. They totally have seen like these patterns on their map. I'm not a fucking astrophysicist, so I don't know. I'm assuming they're telling me the truth.
Better be.
But yeah, apparently they totally exist. So, let's see, what's next? In the movie, they show that an old spacecraft was left there, or it stopped working.
The Pathfinder in 1997.
Zip Pathfinder from 1997. And he was able to rig that thing to communicate with NASA. They totally say it is possible to do that.
That's cool, B.
You just gotta know what you're doing. So, it is not super unrealistic.
Okay.
Moving on.
The gravity is different, so showing Matt Damon walking around like it was Earth is false. So he'd actually be doing a whole lot more hopping.
Yeah. It's a lot more like the moon. Not like the moon. I can hear the trolls now. You don't know what you're talking about.
We're just
correct. We are not scientists. We're moviegoers, and we like to know if the science is real. ifuckinglovescience.com says that if they were really on Mars, Mars only has about 30% of our gravity. So there would be way more hopping, way less walking. Or they even said it'd be maybe you could shuffle. You could shuffle around. So that's the science. Now that's just like that's scratching the surface of the science that's shown in this film. I'm sure that we could probably do a 3-hour segment on the science behind Enter Martian. But we're not going to focus on that. Those are some of the things that I thought were interesting. So we're going to get down to the ending. So if you haven't watched the film, I'm not going to say that this is necessarily spoiler material, though, because in my opinion, there's only one way that this film could end. So it is a spoiler because we're going to the ending, but I really don't feel like you could at all miss what's coming. So that being said, we're about to talk about the ending. If you haven't watched this movie and you fear that this is going to ruin your viewing experience, by all means, bye-bye. So he lives. That's number one. So here's the only two ways that this could have happened, in my opinion, is he lives or he dies. And here's the thing. Nobody else dies either, but they couldn't. The story simply couldn't allow it. The entire team is going back to Mars to get him. If one person had died, everybody would have been a bad guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, Jeff Daniels would have been a bad guy. Jessica Chastain would have been a bad guy. Kate Mara, everybody on the ship would have been a bad guy because they were just simply trading one life for another. So it could never have ended with anybody perishing ever. Their mission was either going to be successful or he was going to die. And I didn't see him dying ever because you just spent 2 hours like rooting for this guy to win. Not that, like, I mean, people flip the script all the time, but it would have been a really dumb move. And I'm all for a dark ending, but it would have been a dumb move. I probably would have been angry if he had died. Serious. So that's like the first part of the ending. Let's talk about that real quick. Do you agree, or do you see another ending that could have happened other than like?
No, I don't see a different. It wouldn't have been as a powerful movie if the ending would have been any different.
Talking about the second half of the ending,
right?
So the second half of the ending is he's fine, he lives.
Just cruising around, being a hot teacher. Nothing.
All right.
He was a hot teacher. Let's just be real. If I was in that class, I'd be like, dang.
Side note.
Dr. Astronaut Teacher Man.
You remember how pissed off Michael Pena's wife got at him for going back for the second round?
And
then he went back up? It's like, bro, you are going for a divorce.
I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home.
I don't care about my kid.
That was hilarious to me. I was like, this fool is out cruising.
Man, he was like, I'm going up for another.
Your wife about tore your face off.
I'm going up for another.
He's like, that's why I'm going back.
Oh, man.
That was hilarious to me.
That was a funny one.
Totally funny.
The rest of them kind of ended the way you expect, but Matt Damon ends up being a teacher, like the astronaut candidate school or whatever. And it ends with just a really great message in my opinion. Because he's talking to astronauts, but I mean, let's face the facts here. He's not talking to just astronauts. He's talking to fucking everyone. You know, he's talking to as you said, kind of towards the beginning, like it's not just about that. It's about like overcoming adversity and overcoming the obstacles that are presented to you. And he gives this great little speech about, yeah, I am the one that was left on Mars for dead. I am the one that survived, and I am the one that came back. And he kind of like goes through the frequently asked questions, just so nobody asks them. And then he goes, all right, now that we got that out of the way, any questions? And everybody's hand shoots up, and it was just like big old cheesy smile on my face. And I was like, that was great, you know. It was just a good way to end it. And I mean, I really can't imagine the movie or the story ending any other way than it did.
Not at all.
It couldn't have been sad. Like, it had to end uplifting, you know?
Like I said, otherwise the message, I feel, wouldn't have been portrayed correctly.
I mean, if this were a movie where his goal was to save Earth, then you could understand where he might die in the end, you know, because that's something that lots of heroes do in movies. But the fact that he was just needing to survive, it really could not have ended any other way. And that's why I said, again, it's not really spoiler material to me. I don't see how you don't see this movie coming. This movie is very straightforward. You know exactly what you're getting. And they did a good job delivering on it.
I think so, too.
Anything else to add?
No, it's good. It was good, y'all.
I mean, it really was. It doesn't matter if you got all the way to the end and you're like, oh, they ruined it. Go watch the damn movie. It's really good.
It really is. And, like, it really is. And like I said, my hopes were hoping that it would be a good movie. And it really is a good movie.
Is it better than Interstellar?
To me, it is. Because Interstellar, to me, was kind of boring. But like I said, certain movies speak to people differently. So even though peanut butter and jelly is peanut no, but ultimately it's like I didn't get a message from Interstellar, but I got a message from
Fair enough.
this. So vice versa. Some people might see something different with, but I feel like this message was blatantly clear.
If you haven't figured it out yet, the reason we love movies so much is because one person can watch it and see something entirely different than the next person. And it can affect them in different ways. And, I mean, that's why it's, I think, the greatest medium to tell stories on.
Yeah.
So, boom. That's all I got. You got anything else? Any last words?
It's the final countdown. Final countdown.
She's rocking it. Anyways, that's all we got, guys. What'd you think of this video? Make sure to let us know in the comment section below. And as always, hit us up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and SoundCloud. Come over here and do movieholics.net. All that information is in the info section below. Check out Rotten Tomatoes and Film Feed and Film Rants and Trailer Trash and Comic Relief and The Niche. And we're going to eventually do Movie Holics Originals. Go check out all that content, guys, and let us know what you thought. Bing, bam, boom.
What you think of?
What she said. All right, guys, we're going to high five it out. You ready?
Yeah.
Boop. It's the final countdown. Da, da, da.
Baby head? Hey, fat belly. Fat belly girl.
You ain't talking to me like that.
I'm talking to your fat belly girl. Ooh, I need to do my hair.